Right, today I'm in Tewkesbury with Racecourse Bookmaker, Paul Gold. Thank you very much for agreeing to talk to us today, Paul. Right, we'll get straight onto it. You're an on-course bookie. When was the last time you restricted somebody's bet?
Funny enough, I do recall it was quite recently. It's all about the cash. So that's the only, so it's not the only. Clearly, I would look down at the machine. If we've got 16 on the board and it's only 17 to a tenner sort of thing, and someone wanted like 500 quid each way, I may make some comment, or I may blame someone for we should only have 14 to 1 up. But at the last ASCOT meeting a few Saturdays ago, we were running 3 pitches there, and it's a Dean Ivory horse. I think it was about the 5th race, and it was a stakes race, i.e. non-handicap, and this guy came up and wanted £500 each way, a horse at 16 to 1. So I said, no, you can have 300 each way. Why did I make the decision? Because of the cash. I didn't have the cash on me to pay him. But the follow-up to that is the one of the other 2 pitches on the back line, where we had a member of staff working for us, and there's about 3 or 4 runners to go in the stalls, and I think it was a bit of a plot on the day. Another chap went up to him and had £500 each way, and the member of staff actually took the bet. So we were running around the ring trying to back this horse, and we stood it for a lot more than what we normally do these days. And the horse led. I think the jockey knew that the horse. I mustn't say it was trying, because you have to say that all horses are trying. But anyway, this jockey rode this horse for its life, and about 1 or 2 furlongs out, it faded away and it finished out of the frame. So we lived to fight another day. So I only knock punters back. I would never knock them back at festivals and things like that. But it's mainly what, putting it crudely, the cash I have in my pocket.
So you laid him 300 with the fractions?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't ask for the fraction, so he couldn't have been that clued up, could he? but no, we don't. I don't. You know, you've got to be careful of odds-on chances. 8 runners, you know, something's 4 on or something like that, and then a bookmaker or one of the members of the staff will send one of his reps over to have his 100 each way sort of thing, because he can earn out the place, and I might not be too happy about that, but I don't knock punters back now.
Right, going back to your roots, you made good business decisions, as far as my research tells me, when to get into and out of the betting shop business where you started. Was it perception and business acumen, a bit of luck, or a bit of both?
Luck. I was very lucky. I sort of set of circumstances. From my accent, most people would tell that I come from London, and my mother moved away from London. My father died when I was 2, so she was by herself, and we moved from London down to a place called Nettlebed, which is near Henley-on-Thames, and I had this not too special job really in London. Basically, I was just like a tea boy and a filing clerk for a stockbrokers, and I got fed up doing that, and I saw an advert for a trainee manager, a guy called Sam Cowan, who perhaps people will know of. Lewis, his son. He's been on the racecourse. Not there anymore, but anyway, so I went to work for Sam for about 3 or 4 years, and I met a guy there called John Smart, who so at this time I would have been about early 20s. I joined Cowan's when I was about 18 till about 21, 22, and so I met John Smart, who was the general manager there. Now, Sam was a difficult man to get on with, and he had a succession of general managers. He's a very successful bookmaker, but it it was quite an acquired taste, if you like. So anyway, John, I got to know him for a couple of years while he was there. John could see the writing on the wall that he was going to get the heave-ho, and he asked me if I wanted to go into business with him, and so I supplied my knowledge, if you like, or my limited knowledge, as I found out in later years, to running the betting shop. So we bought a betting shop in Headington, which is near Oxford. He stumped up the money, got a second mortgage on his house, and off we went. So that was very lucky to meet him, and we got to a situation. We decided that at that time, we started in 71. I think we started either just before or just after decimalisation, which shows you how old I am. And Hills and Ladbrokes Corals didn't want to know about South Wales. There was never any money down there as far as they're concerned. So John used to go down there and get new licenses, and we managed to be fairly successful, albeit with the help of the bank, and went from there. So we had those from about 71. I think we sold those shops in maybe 85, 86. So I think I was lucky to meet him. Good guy. You meet people in life that, I mean, we all have lots of acquaintances, but people you can call really good friends. And he's still alive and a bit older than me, but a great guy.
Okay, so you did well with the betting shops. How many did you have?
We had about, I can't remember how many we had when we sold, but any one given time, we had about 20 odd betting shops. And I think that, we sometimes we're doing it on the seat of our pants because we really didn't have a great deal of money, but we kept going, and it worked out all right, but he, as I said, just as I alluded to a little while ago, John was a bit older than me, and he'd had enough and wanted to sell, so we sold the shops, and eventually I went to live in Spain, and for about 7 or 8 years.
Okay, so you made a few quid in those betting shops. What were the sort of bets that punters had that had you rubbing your hands together?
Well, I can only speak of myself. I suppose we'll move on to it in a moment. But I sold the betting shops in the second time round in 2003. So I'm going back, from memory. But we used to have the morning trade and the afternoon trade. I don't know what other bookmakers used to call it, but I used to call the morning trade. We used to take all these what we call rubbish bets. So basically, you could put them in a drawer and sell them at the end of the day. Obviously, sometimes they'd cop that the Yankees, the Lucky 15s, football betting wasn't very big. I'm just trying to think, getting it some sort of order. I think that took off when I had the shops second time round. But you weren't allowed to have singles on football coupons. So people would have, accumulators. I think punters like the fact that they could, at that time, spend £1 and win thousands if they were successful, so they could actually do something with the money as opposed to having like £1 on a 3-to-1 winner. You wouldn't win very much. So the morning trade was very good. The afternoon trade, it's just single, so the margin is less, and so obviously we used to do all sorts of things to encourage the morning trade.
So, what were the sort of punters that you didn't really fancy?
Well, nothing much changes there. The guys that would have, I think at that time, our memory serves me right, we had betting duty. And so from time to time, we would monitor customers who were having £400 or £500 on 2-on chances in a cricket match or tennis, or match bets, or some, and we would monitor those. So I mean, if they were, they may lose a bit on their turnover, but if time we then knocked off the betting tax, they were uneconomical. I don't recall really knocking anyone. I don't recall ever knocking anyone back, but I do recall monitoring customers. Not many.
Okay, so you did well with the betting shops. What prompted you to make the decision to invest into the on-course game?
Well, when I came back from living in Spain, I'm a great believer in sticking to what you know. I have tried other ventures, and what perhaps in my sort of limited way has been successful. So when I was living in Spain, Corals put an advertisement in the at that time, I think it was the Sporting Life, about they were selling shops. They wanted to upgrade their estate. I think they were called the Blue Shops. So I bought some shops from Corals in about when did I come back? About early 90s. And no, late 80s, sorry. And I ran those for a while. But with the advent of Sunday racing and evening racing and that sort of thing, and the staffing, and I'd always had an inkling to, always fancied working at the racecourse. And so in about, I think when the buying and selling of pitches first came out in 99, I bought some pitches from a guy called Frank Butler, I think his name was, Cheltenham, Chepstow, Worcester, Stratford, and I'd run those in conjunction with running the betting shops, and I was far more interested really in going to like Chepstow on a Thursday than I was in running the betting shops, and so that I just always fancied it, but it's obviously not, even though I had the background of being in betting shops and knowing a bit about gambling, it's not a question of just filling the hod up at the racecourse. So that's how I got into the racecourse game. It's something I fancied doing, and an opportunity arose with the buying and selling of pitches.
So how did running the betting shop empire compare to running the on-course business?
Well, the first thing to say is there's less staff, many less staff. I think it's a bit of an eye-opener when, well, let's do with the betting shops. The thing with the betting shops is that when you employ a significant sort of number of people, you spend a disproportionate amount of time dealing with the, like, say you employed 100 staff, dealing with the 10 that are always ill or moaning, and of course, don't start me on about fiddles. And so I mainly employ now my daughters and my wife at the racecourse, and of course I expect we'll move on to that in a moment. I'm with Paul Metcalf now, and Ian's our mainstay. But the off-course market, I just got fed up doing it. I got fed up with the own social hours. I got fed up working on a Sunday afternoon because we were short of staff. The summer holidays are a nightmare. But I'm not forgetting that everything, the relatively small success that I have, it just came from the money of the betting shops.